Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. So glad you're here. Today, we're diving into something literally all of us have experienced, but, well, we probably haven't fully appreciated its true value for learning. Our mission today is to completely flip the script on educational visits. We're going to shift the narrative from seeing them as just, a fun day out to recognizing them as absolutely essential, core tools for effective teaching.
I want you to take a second and really think about this. What is your absolute most vivid memory from your school days? Seriously, picture it right now. Chances are you aren't picturing a random Tuesday sitting at your desk staring at a chalkboard, right? If you're like most of us, your strongest, most colorful memories are probably from outside those four classroom walls. You remember the sights, the sounds, just that amazing break in the routine. And that emotional connection, that nostalgia, it's actually the key to how our brains lock in information.
Which brings us perfectly to this incredible quote from our source material today, attributed to Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. I mean, wow, that is going to anchor our entire narrative today. We're exploring this crucial shift from abstract, passive teaching to concrete, active involvement. It's basically the fundamental difference between just hearing about a concept and actually living it. So, just to make sure we're all on the exact same page, let's establish our baseline definition. A field trip is simply an educational visit to places outside the classroom. Sounds incredibly basic, doesn't it? But the real magic happens in that phrase outside the classroom. As you'll see in a minute, simply crossing that physical threshold completely rewires the learning experience for students. Looking at the data here, it is super clear that field trips aren't just a one-trick pony. They actually offer 12 distinct, structured pillars that form the foundation of effective teaching. It's literally a holistic approach to education mapped out right before our eyes. To keep things digestible, we've organized these 12 pillars into 5 key themes for today's agenda. The power of involvement, boosting academic performance, shaping personal growth, connecting to the real world in lessons beyond the classroom. So let's dive right in. Section 1, the power of involvement. Here's where we tackle the main issue with traditional static teaching. It's amazing how simply changing the environment completely alters a student's motivation. Just look at this comparison. On one side, you have the sheer monotony of classroom teaching. Day in, day out, the same walls, the same desks, staring at that exact same clock ticking on the wall. But stepping out of the classroom, it completely shatters that monotony. It instantly spikes interest and curiosity. Why is that? Well, because you're replacing static lectures with firsthand experience. Students aren't just passively listening anymore, they are observing, doing, and interacting directly. You're basically waking up their senses. And let me tell you, an awake brain is a brain that's ready to absorb information.
Moving right along to Section 2, boosting academic performance. Now, let's see how all of this translates directly into cognitive benefits, removing from just, keeping students entertained to actually boosting their academic performance. The big takeaway here is how field trips bridge that gap between textbook theory and reality, making tough academic concepts way easier to grasp. If we group together pillars 1, 2, and 10 from our source material, a really cool narrative emerges. First, field trips enhance learning because those real-life experiences make the material so much more meaningful. Second, they improve understanding. I mean, when a student actually sees a concept playing out in real time, that's when the light bulb turns on. And finally, because they learned it through physical experience, they retain that knowledge for a significantly longer period of time. They aren't just cramming for a test, they are truly deeply understanding the material. All right, Section 3, shaping personal growth. But hey, it's not all about grades and test scores, is it? The dynamics that unfold when you take a group of students out into the wild, so to speak, are just incredible for character building. The social and emotional learning that happens on a noisy school bus or while wandering through a museum is honestly just as vital as the academic stuff. Pillars 3, 8, and 12 highlight this perfectly. Field trips naturally pull students out of their regular social creeks, which really encourages teamwork, cooperation, and communication. Plus, they foster a ton of independence. Think about it. Students have to take responsibility for themselves and their belongings in a totally new environment, and that builds immense confidence. Ultimately, navigating all these new situations requires real-time decision-making, which is huge for developing an overall positive attitude and a well-rounded personality. Next up, Section 4, connecting to the real world. This is where we look at how these trips act as a vital bridge. They're preparing students not just for their next exam, but for real life, their future careers, and just becoming informed global citizens.
And it's fascinating because the destination itself triggers different types of real-world awareness. For example, a trip to the zoo or a farm. It's not just about pointing at animals, it actually promotes deep environmental awareness and a genuine concern for nature. Or take a visit to a science center. That directly builds career awareness, showing students professions they might literally have never even considered. And visiting historical sites, that broadens their entire outlook, pushing them to explore new cultures, ideas, and perspectives.
So the big question is, how do we create these tangible outcomes every single day, even when we don't have a yellow school bus waiting outside? Well, based on these pillars, here are 3 highly actionable steps you can integrate right into your daily work. First up, change the environment. Even just moving a lesson or a meeting out to the courtyard can bridge theory to reality simply by breaking up that physical routine. Second, assign real-world observation. Have your students or even your team at work find concepts you're discussing out in their own homes or neighborhoods. It's a great way to promote environmental awareness and deeply connect with the material. And third, bring the outside in. Use virtual tours or invite guest speakers to broaden perspectives and introduce new cultures and ideas on a daily basis. By taking these 3 steps, you're essentially bringing that powerful field trip mindset directly into your everyday environment.
And finally, Section 5, Lessons Beyond the Classroom.
When we bring together everything we've just uncovered, how involvement sparks motivation, how real-world context cements academic performance, and how stepping out of familiar bounds fosters incredible personal growth, we arrive at our ultimate conclusion. Field trips turn classroom lessons into life lessons. That single sentence right there, it captures the entire magic of this process. You're taking the abstract, the formulas, the historical dates, the complex scientific theories, and you are turning them into concrete reality. You are literally giving the knowledge a pulse.
So I want to leave you pondering this final, rather provocative question. Are we involving our students enough? Think back to Benjamin Franklin's wisdom we talked about earlier, involve me and I learn. Whether you're an educator designing a curriculum, a parent looking for some engaging weekend activities, or honestly, just a lifelong learner yourself, ask yourself if you are truly stepping out of your own classroom to experience the real world. The 12 pillars we explore today prove, without a doubt, that the world outside is absolutely the greatest classroom we have. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Explainer. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I will see you next time.